Hey everyone, I thank you very much for watching my episodes, and this one's also going to be coming from my Icelandic studio, which is really Yurt's living room, as you probably saw in his interview. This time I'm talking with Dr. Jenny Hagen. If you are a farrier or a veterinarian and been in our world, you know a lot about this young lady. She's brilliant, she's a scientist, she's a farrier, she's a researcher, and she's come up with a lot of cool stuff for our industry. And her and I have worked together. I've known her for a long time, but we worked together in Israel and in Germany and now in Iceland. So it was a real pleasure to get to see her on this trip. And I'm very excited to get to sit down and introduce her to you. Thank you very much for watching. We're cleared for takeoff. Well, everybody, I'm here with Dr. Jenny Hagen from Germany. Thank you so much for agreeing to do this with me.
It's a big pleasure, particularly if you're on Iceland. So
Yes, so that's kind of interesting. I first met you in America,
yes,
and I've seen you in Germany.
yeah, that's
Yep.
right.
And we worked together in Israel.
For almost a few days, I made sightseeing. Yes.
Yes, and now we work together in Iceland. So you're like a international spy. We just kind of meet up at foreign countries.
Yeah. Well, I think that's our job, no? So we are horseshoers. I'm a vet at least and a scientist, but I also like to travel around because we would like to share our knowledge. So we go to different countries, and that's how we meet.
You know, people are always amazed, and I tell them, but horses have feet everywhere.
Yes. I mean, there are some special things, like in Iceland, you have the special riding and use of the horses, but in the end, the anatomy, the biomechanics, and the function is more or less the same everywhere.
So what is your background? How did you get into this?
Oh, well, my parents were like veterinary engineers, so I had contact with this profession quite early in my
And
life.
is that a veterinarian on a train?
It's a kind of training, but it was
A different kind of engineer.
it's a
that
study.
that was a joke. You're supposed to laugh.
Oh, okay, sorry. But it was a kind of study. So they were proper vets, but more focused on farm animals. But anyway, so when I was young, I really had contact to the profession. I always wanted to become a vet when I was very, very young. But when I was like 18 and did the exam of my high school, I wanted to earn some money. So I thought I can either work as a waiter or in such of the boring clothing shops, whatever. So I decided I asked my farrier who was shoeing my horses if he could take me as an assistant, because in Germany we often have the guys who held the horse for the farrier. So I asked him, would you take me as an assistant? I lift all the hoofs for you. And he
Oh, that's right. So the assistant holds the horse.
yes, so we
And
have
the
two different
farrier-
ways. Yeah, so usually we put the hoofs between our legs or on the hoof jack or something. But in the traditional way of shoeing in Germany, at least, it was like somebody is lifting the hoof for you and you work on it.
And so
So
at
I
18,
was-
you were going to be that person.
Yeah, so I wanted to be that person, and he came to shoe our horses, and I was 18. I asked him, so would you take me as your assistant for a while? And he was not answering at all. Silence. Like 2 times. And then I said, okay, is it because I'm a woman? And he was like, what? No. Okay, you're allowed to come one day. So we drove out one day and we came along quite well. So then he said, okay, you can come a second day. And then it was a week. And then it became like 4 or 5 months. So I worked with him quite a lot. And he was a very nice farrier who let me do a lot of stuff in the beginning, clinching and pulling the shoes and cleaning, whatever. So I
Did
learned it. But I studied the veterinary medicine still because I had good grades and I wanted to become a vet. But it was always in the breaks. I went with him to shoe horses. Then I studied again. So it was on and off.
When you work like that, does the holder pull the shoes, or does the person who is kneeling beyond the foot pull the shoes?
Always a farrier. So the guy who lifts the hoof is just lifting. He's not doing anything on the hoof. So there's the person behind the horse or behind the foot and just pulling. Yeah.
Man, and so is that a good paying job?
Actually not, but for me it was okay. So for if you finish school, you're just happy if you get a little money. And I had a good experience, and I learned the handcraft quite well because he also taught me how to nail a shoe or how to trim a hoof. And I must say he was a very relaxed teacher.
So when he taught you, did he teach you the way he did it by kneeling beyond the
Yeah.
foot? So you know.
The nailing was very funny. When in the beginning he placed all 6 nails already in a good angle, and I had to bring them in the hoof.
And you were hammering like this while he held it.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So that was challenging because you really had to hit a good spot and very precise. So it was funny. So I can't do it actually anymore, I think, because now I have the hoof with myself, so I never use an assistant. But yeah.
And it feels much more normal. I've only tried a very little bit
Yeah.
in that way, and
But it was the old way to, or not all, but a lot of people still do it, but it was a traditional way to do it. So you had to live somebody like an assistant and you were behind the hoof. So if I have to do it now, the angle for me is very strange. So I have a hard time to trim and to position the shoe and to nail. But if you're used to it, it's definitely a way to do it.
Sure. Okay, so you're 18, you do this for a while, and then you start college and go straight to vet school?
Yeah, I did vet school in Leipzig, so I did my study there. And then it was again funny because I did my doctoral thesis already while I was studying. So I finished quite young. I was the youngest doctor in the university, I think. And
How old?
24.
Wow.
So I was starting like 1.5 or 2 years before I finished study. And when I finished my study, I was very close to just make my defense and got the title. So then I decided.
Okay, so and this is not for your veterinarian. This is a doctorate.
Yeah.
Okay, and your doctorate is in anatomy?
No, that was actually about internal medicine. So I had a topic about internal medicine this time.
Wow.
But we don't specialize. So you make the whole study. So
Okay.
with all animals, all disciplines. So you don't specialize. So that was not. If you finish vet school after 5.5 years, you are able to treat all animals and you can do more or less all disciplines if you're talented enough. And usually then after the study, you start your doctoral thesis. But since, I had a little bit luck and I was not too bad, so I could start a little bit earlier.
Well, you probably had a lot of extra time while you were in vet school, right?
Well, yeah, so I wanted to be a little bit faster. No, it just came to me. I was just lucky, I guess.
What was your thesis on?
Actually, it was about cows.
Okay.
So I did it in the internal medicine in the cow section. And it was related to investigate the lymphatic tissue and a little bit the immune response if they have some specific disorders. So to make a kind of pre-test to look if they have maybe mastitis or claw problems or whatever they have a little bit earlier than just if the disease is present. So that was the work. So it was a little bit random. So I didn't want to go there, but the professor was really approaching me to come, and I said, okay, well, then I may be faster than the others, so I did it. So it was a good offer.
Very nice. All right, so 24, you're done with this. You're now a veterinarian surgeon, veterinarian doctor?
Doctor, yeah.
Okay. And have you been shoeing horses through vet school?
Yeah, well, as I said, in the semester, we have breaks between the lectures and all the exams. So
I'm talking about private. Did you have any customers?
No, and this time not. No,
okay.
That was a bit too much. So I just went with my teacher farrier during the breaks, just having some, a little bit money and showing with him and helping him out. In particular in summer, he's very grateful because then you have a lot of clients. And then I just went back to study, yeah.
All right. So where did you go from there?
Well, I was a bit I had to decide. So I was starting to work part-time in university because they also asked me to teach at the anatomy. But I had also a part-time job in a normal practice where they were treating all kinds of animal. But it was because that was a part-time position. I was just a substitution for somebody who was pregnant. So I knew this will end in one moment. So I thought, okay, I'm quite young. Maybe I should just see something different. So I applied for work in Argentina. So
nice.
Like I said,
and did you speak Spanish?
No.
Okay.
When I booked it like it was a farm stay, but I didn't knew what farm mean in this way. And I booked additionally 4 weeks like language course in this school there. So when I was 26 or something, I think 26, I flew to Argentina and the only word I could say was hola. And then I had a 4-week language school and I was really looking to go to the farm. But again, life is a little bit funny. Sometimes they changed plans. And I could not go to the original farm. I had to go to the brother's farm, which was far away in the mountains in the middle of nowhere. So they dropped me off in the afternoon, and I thought this is the farm. It was a quite nice building and a nice family, but they said, no, this is just our farm. The farm of my brother is much different. I said, okay, well, maybe nicer. But then you could just go there by horse or by little, like the quads. Is it called quad? So you had to cross 2 rivers and you were driving 10 kilometers in the middle of
And
nowhere.
are you in southern Argentina, down in Patagonia? Or?
No, it was in Cordoba, in the Sierras of Cordoba, like the mountains of Cordoba in the center.
Okay.
So
Wow.
we drove there, and when I arrived, the farm was like 3 walls. One was still built, but not ready. And the roof was just a little bit leaking. They had no electricity and not really water in the house. It was just a spring behind the house, and a river in front. So that was my stay there.
And you were there for months?
Yeah.
And so on this particular farm, were you getting paid to do this?
No. It was just for experience.
My goodness.
Yeah, but I mean, we had a little trouble because he had a strong accent, and I think my Spanish was not good enough to understand everything. But I was good in looking for horses and cows. So that was the only advantage I had, because I think the guy was a little bit mad on me because I could not speak a lot. And his wife was really nice and the kids too, but well, not a lot to eat, not a lot to do. So he was just happy that I could ride. And then he tested me. He set me on a horse. We rode in gallop. I was still on, and he said, "Okay, nice. Tomorrow we can go for the cows." So that was how we came together.
So you were living the life of a gaucho.
More or less, yeah. A very poor gaucho, I think, but yes.
My, that's very interesting. And how's your Spanish now?
I spoke it quite well, but since I don't practice a lot and it's a little bit different from the European Spanish, I have a strong accent and I need maybe 1 or 2 days to come a little bit into the language again, but it's okay.
So is it caballo or caballo for you?
Caballo.
Caballo, all right. So the Mexicans will like you there.
Yeah, I know.
How many languages do you speak?
Just like 3, like German, English,
Just
Spanish.
3. Oh, just 3.
Yeah,
That's
I understand a little bit Dutch. That's okay.
Well, that's pretty amazing. What's your favorite language?
Well, English, since you can use it everywhere. So it's, I don't care a lot. It's not, I speak not a perfect English. I know it, but at least it's not very exhausting for me to talk in English.
Whenever you write and read, would you rather do it in German or English?
I don't care.
You don't care?
At least in the scientific or technical stuff, I don't care. Sometimes if I would need to read Harry Potter, probably then I need to check a few words because I'm not very good in this magical stuff, but for the technical parts or scientific parts, I don't care.
Very interesting. Well, that's awesome. All right. So after you got done with Argentine, where did you go?
Yeah, then it was again quite funny because I went back to university because a new professor signed up. And shortly before I left, he said, "I would like that you come back," because he missed staff. And I thought, okay, if I come back from Argentina after all these months, it would be nice to have an option to work. So I agreed to come back to the institute. And I think a few months after I arrived came Daniel Ans from Argentina
Right.
to Germany, and he came to the university, and he was a farrier, and he wanted to make a study with his barefoot trimming, or with
The
the
F-balance.
trimming method, F-balance. So he came there and he asked to make a scientific study. And then, of course, my boss said, "Okay, he's Argentinian. You came from there. You speak a little bit Spanish. You're also a farrier. I think that's your job to do the study." And then it was indeed the start of one of my biggest studies. So we had the F-balance involved. Then we also included a very typical German theory, like the Pastern axis theory, the straight axis. And also a barefoot trimmer method, which is quite common in Germany. So we had 3 trimming methods.
What was the name of that method?
It's the hoof orthopedics, they are called in Germany.
Okay, not Strasser method.
No.
Okay, all right.
A different one. But so this study was running like 10 months. So it was a long-term study on 75 horses with 3 trimming methods, 3 farriers, and 2 doctoral students was one of my biggest projects I did.
Man.
And this is how I came into research and all this, let's say, university stuff again.
And so you're still not shoeing horses on the side for a living
Yeah,
yet?
then I started. Yeah, since
Oh, you
when
were
I
doing-
came back from Argentina, I built up a little side business, like at least trimming.
Okay.
Yeah,
All
I
right.
was not ready to buy a shoeing truck or something because I didn't have time enough to use it. But I had some barefoot trimming clients. Yeah,
And were you doing what I would consider conventional trim, or were you doing a F-balance trim? Or?
I always mixed it. I mean, I have the thinking that you don't have one general solution for each hoof and horse. So I think the more methods you know, the better you can apply to the needs of your individual client. So that's why I
Alright,
always
so-
use everything.
What would be, so for me, a conventional method would be something T-square on the front foot.
Yeah, that's very
Uh,
American.
Yeah, very American
Yeah.
or English.
Or English, yeah.
The hind foot under the bony column on the hinds. How would F-balance be different?
F balance is a very nice method if you have very skew hoofs or very pushed up soft tissues like pushed up bulbs or banded coronary bands or a very offset hoof in a medial lateral balance or something. So this is a very precise method to relax the hoof again, to make it a little bit more functional. So it's not just looking for the bone column, it respects the flexibility of the whole hoof capsule. So it's good to relax really skew hoofs.
Okay, so can you give me an example? If I,
For example, if you have a pushed up bulb in the medial side,
okay, so you
Yeah.
have we would call it a sheared heel.
a shared heel. Okay,
Right.
so if you have a shared heel on the medial side and you put a T-square on it, then it might be that your ground surface is perpendicular to your T-square or to your bone column, right?
Possible, yes.
So, and then you have the problem, you trim it, but still the medial heel will increase in the shared position, so you can't really relax it. And F-balance would shorten both heels on the same length. So you measure from the hairline of the medial and lateral bulb
Okay,
to the point where you see a little bend or instability in the heels. So you use this point to, it's a little bit like the same spot Mike Zavoldi is coming out if you follow
with
the
uniform sole
uniform
thickness.
sole thickness. So same spot actually in the heels. The goal is to have the same length in the heels, but then you also make a very straight surface to the tip of the hoof, like to the toe, to the very dorsal part of the hoof surface.
In the center of the toe.
Yes, in
Okay.
the center of the toe, so that you have more or less two even surfaces and the same length in the bulbs. And due to the body weight of the horse and due to the flexibility in the bulbs and the cushion and everywhere, it will settle down when the horse is loading the hoof. So it equalizes a little bit the level of the bulbs, and the whole hoof capsule can rotate and relax as much as you want. So it's actually a nice way, and it's working barefoot and for short horses.
Wow, how interesting. And so your 75 horse study kind of proved that out then.
Well, that was a big thing because everybody thought we will say this method is good and this method is bad. So, but this is never the approach if you make a scientific study. We just had 3 methods, more or less similar horses in all the groups. And our approach was just to show over 10 months how the different methods affect the bone column, the straightness, the shape of the hoofs, the gait pattern as well of the horse, and the load distribution.
You
And
had
then
a
you have
ton
to-
of things you were looking at, huh?
Yeah, we had a lot of parameters. As I said, that was the biggest study I did, and I was young enough to do it. I think I would not do it again. but anyway, we had a lot of parameters, and what you make out of these parameters is related to your individual horse and client and to your own skills and experiences. So we can just say this method causes long or short and long term this effect, and if it's fitting to your client or not is your responsibility and knowledge.
So with the F-balance method, if you're looking at a straight horse, as you know, obviously there's no such thing as a perfectly straight horse, but let's say a horse that you would trim evenly from a complete nip around, what would you do with F-balance on a foot like that?
It's quite similar to all the other methods
So,
then. So if the heels, for example, are in the same height, so if you don't have any shared or, I don't know, bumped up things, you just have a quite normal trim. It's a little bit similar. You clean the sole, you see the functional knife sole, and you just remove the little brittle horn there, and then you follow from the little point in the heels around this overlapping margin and make a straight surface. But
So
then,
the F-balance would be almost conventional on a sound, straight,
yeah, I would
normal
say
horse.
a little bit different because people, in Germany at least, we had the problem in the traditional way of trimming that they often left a lot of heel.
Okay.
So there was always heel saving, yeah. So they were afraid to cut heels. That caused often very unstable or underrunning heels or shared heels or whatever. So F-balance is trimming a little bit more heels, as I said, similar to Mike Zavoldi's protocol, so that often you have a little more stable surface in the palmar plantar region. So this is maybe the only difference, but this is very fluent. So in the end, there's not a huge difference.
All right. On the crooked horse with the F-balance, would the bottom of the foot end up with a flat plane?
Yes, usually yes.
Okay, so you
Yeah,
can
so
still put a normal
sometimes
shoe
it
flat on
depends
that.
if you have a really badly shared heel. So then you might need a little bit time. So then I often trim and shoe the other feet and leave this as the last. So
Let
because
it settle.
Yeah, then it can settle a little bit, that the hoof capsule can change. Then you can maybe retrim a little bit so that it's a little bit fluent. But yeah, usually that was a big concern of the German Farriers, because we love plain surfaces to put a shoe on, of course.
Of course.
Yeah, but if you have a shared heel, you have to respect if you lift it and it's really bad, then sometimes you have a little gap there. But as soon as the horse loads the hoof, you can definitely see how it relaxes and settle down. So actually the worry is not real. It's just in the head of the people because they think so mechanical and stiff.
Right, which is definitely a German trait.
Yeah, that might be.
All right, well, very interesting. So now you've done a lot of studies. What's been your favorite?
Yeah, from this study, actually, the study with Werkmann came where they were not telling us anything. They just wanted to make a study to improve farriery and the skills and the education. So we were allowed to modify very different shoes and investigate the effect of modified shoes, again, on the bone column, on the pressure distribution, and on the landing pattern. I really like this because this gave us a lot of evidence for therapeutic treatment. So this one, and then of course we went a little bit into the...
Is this the one that led to hoofbeat?
No,
No.
that was before. That was 2013 or 14, I forgot it. But again, quite big. But that was a focused study just with pressure sensors.
And you were still at the university and...
Still university, having my little side business running, but I was mainly... this time I already started to have a shared position because I had my research position at the Research Institute of the Anatomy, but I was already teaching at the Horseshoeing School of the Leipzig University. So I was related to the horse clinic and the Horseshoeing School and to the research.
What is the Horseshoeing School like? I've had a whole career in Horseshoeing School, but it's private.
Yeah, we have a different system. So we have private schools in Germany as well. So in Germany we have, I might have to count, but I think the majority are now private. In the past it was different. But in the past, each university had official, like a state horseshoeing school. And Leipzig is one of the 3 left public horseshoeing schools.
And that's one that you taught in?
Yes, and
Okay.
that's the one where I taught in. So they are not so related to commercial thoughts because they belong to the university and to the public funding anyway. So
Right.
we usually just had 4 to 6 students in the main course and maybe 2 or 3 in the beginner course. So, and in Germany we have the system that you have to go 4 weeks to the school before you start with any kind of farrier stuff. And then you go 2 years fully employed with an experienced certified farrier. And then you come back to school for 4 months to get all the other skills you maybe missed in your education. And then you have a public exam.
How much time does the person have invested? It's like 2 years?
More. So if you make everything, you have more or less 2.5 years education.
2.5 years.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And was the gentleman that you brought to Israel with you?
Yeah, that was our old horseshoeing master. He was 40 years at the horseshoeing school in Leipzig.
Right. Yeah, he was a nice guy.
And it's also cool because we have the horse clinic next to us, so we see all the orthopedic cases as well. So we can teach a routine forging and shoeing and handmade shoeing and I don't know, whatever you do in a normal farrier praxis, but we also had the orthopedic cases from the clinic. It was really nice.
Well, Guy Karsh is a good friend of yours.
Yes.
And he's the one who put on the clinic in Israel. I can't remember your German fellow's name.
Axel.
Axel.
Yeah.
All right. And he was retiring and you gave him that trip as a gift.
Yes. So we were colleagues since 2013 and I think he retired 19 or something.
Yeah, 2019 is when we were in Israel.
Yeah, something like this. That's right. So, and he retired and he had also birthday in January. So we gave him as a gift this trip to Israel because I had to visit Guy anyway. And we were at Uri Hofi's place, right? You remember?
Yes.
World champion blacksmith.
Yeah, and unfortunately he's dead now, but
he
Uri
died.
Hofi, man, what a place, huh?
Yeah, it was amazing. So we wanted to give Axel a very special present. And I was in Israel several times before, so he was very interested in the country. That's why we took him.
Yeah. Well, you've had a whole lifetime of traveling. If you didn't live in Germany, where would you want to live? Speed of Iceland. And I'm sitting in your living room for his interview and Jenny's. He's the guy that put this whole thing together. It's the Icelandic Farrier Conference. Listen, if you've got a loved one that likes horses, or if you just love horses and you need a good reason to go do something like this, you can take your wife and your kids. They can have an amazing trip in this incredible land of Iceland, and you can go to the Icelandic Farrier Conference. So next year, August 2026, have a look at your calendar, see if you can put it together, and they would love to see you. These Icelandic horses are amazing. This countryside is amazing. It's something you ought to reward yourself with. So let me recommend the Icelandic Farrier Conference. You can probably find it online. Yurt's problem is mainly that he doesn't like what I'm doing here. He doesn't like the internet. He doesn't like Facebook. He doesn't play this part of the game, so I'm playing a little bit for him. But check out the Icelandic Farrier Conference. You won't regret it.
Oh, this question I'm often asked, and I have a lot of countries I really love, like north of Spain is perfect. I enjoyed the time in Argentina as well. But I must say I would never leave my country.
Okay, so you might be a politician with that answer. You're not going to make any enemies, and
Well, I mean, I think my country definitely has advantages, and from my cultural, I don't know, development, I'm pretty German, I would say. And I really like the possibilities I have in my country, so I don't miss something, but I enjoy to travel and see different people and cultures, yeah.
yeah, no, I can see that. And you brought your mom here to Iceland, and
Yeah.
you guys have had quite the tour around
And
here.
I really enjoy it sometimes. I mean, I was also working for the Flying Anvils in India, and I don't know, I was in Peru and very poor countries, and it's always an experience to see how life could be to other people. And then I'm always very grateful that I was born in a state where I have so many possibilities to develop and to have my free mind, and I'm very safe and secured in my home, enough to eat, electricity.
Right.
So I'm grateful for the things I have.
Yeah.
So why should I go somewhere else?
That's fair. Have you been to Australia and New Zealand yet?
No, they are not.
No, not there. Huh?
Brian Hampson a few times tried to invite me, but he's a little bit crazy person, so we never managed to find a good agreement what we will do there.
And how about South Africa? Have you done that one?
No, I don't know. No, South
yet.
America again. They have requested me for next year actually, but let's see
South
how.
Africa or South America?
South Africa
South Africa.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. So you might go there next year.
might be.
Awesome.
Yes.
That's an amazing place as well.
There are many amazing places in the world, I would say.
You know, they're all
and I
amazing.
always try. I don't understand the farriers or the demo farriers in particular who come to a country,
what kind?
like the farriers who make demonstrations
Oh,
and
the
lectures,
okay,
and the demo farriers. Oh, and then some farriers just fly in, see the airport, shoe a horse, jump into the airplane, and leave again. So I think this is a little bit ignorant. I don't like this behavior a lot.
There are a lot that do that, and then all you see is a hotel room,
Yes.
and an arena, a horse,
Yeah.
and then an airplane. Yep. Yeah, it is very nice to kind of look around and see what the place has to offer.
Yes,
Yeah.
I always do it. So at least if I've been there the first time or second time. So I mean, if I have been like 3 times in Cincinnati, then I maybe don't have to look around. But
Right.
in general, if the country is nice, I would like to see people and countryside and I don't know, culture.
So what do you do now? What is your, how do you make a living now?
Yeah, well, I was at university then 11 years for research in total, with my study 17 years, and I did my postdoc thesis as well, which is a kind of professorship maybe in other countries. So it's the highest academic degree you can go. So at the university I finished more or less my career because I couldn't go farther. So the rest I would have to do there was pretty much the same: making research, caring for the horses in the clinic, making the horseshoeing school running. So I was not bored, but it was like, what can I do
You didn't
next?
want to do that till you're 70.
Yeah, that was, and you can't in Germany. So in one moment your contract stops. So I had 2 solutions. So Vienna and Munich tried to approach me as a professor there, so I could have an institute in one of these cities. But I didn't want to leave to Vienna or Munich. And I didn't want, because it's very hard in Germany to get a shared position. So this is quite unique. Either you're a professor in anatomy, then you have an institute for anatomy, or you are in a horse clinic. But I had the option in Leipzig to have both. And no other place, at least in the German-speaking countries, would give it to me. So this was not really an option for me. The second option was that the Central University of Leipzig offered me a kind of own research institute. but our faculty was against it. So actually, again, it was not an option because politics. So then I decided, okay, my career at the university is probably ended. So I started my own business. So I'm still an associated professor. So I have still one doctoral student and access to the measuring tools and the science there. But I run my own business for all kind of horses who can't walk, because I specialized in the last 10 years in different manual therapy techniques like osteopathy, chiropractic, myofascial treatment, rehab training, equine behavior, so that I can do the shoeing, the manual therapy, the training in once. And that's what I do in my practice.
Wow, man! So you still have a huge job.
Yeah.
I mean, there's just a lot going on. You're not just shoeing horses.
Yes. So usually my routine week is like 3 days in horses, and 1 or 2 days I have to write articles or presentations, and 1 or 2 days I travel for lecturing. And if I'm
so the 3 days on horses, are these like your personal reoccurring customer horses?
Yes.
All right. So you have
I have usually until 4 o'clock in the afternoon, I have my, let's say, routine clients and no scheduled, and then I have space for maybe some emergency cases, what can happen if you have a crooked foal or laminitis case or whatever you can have at a horse that it can't walk, so then I can squeeze them in.
And do you have a colleague or a helper?
No.
So
I go by myself.
Well, what happens when you're gone? So
I organize it quite well. So usually I can manage. So of course emergencies are a bit critical.
You lose a shoe or...
Well, losing a shoe is maybe not that big problem, because first of all, I'm quite lucky. I don't lose a lot. Yeah.
Oh, you should knock on that table
yeah,
right
now. I will knock it now here. But there are also some young farriers who were my students at the Horseshoeing school, and they are close to my place. So really, just in case a shoe is lost, and it's not a freaky orthopedic thing, they can just nail it on. And then I try always to care for my, let's say, a little bit poor clients. So if they have really acute things, I care directly before I leave. And then they have an emergency appointment if necessary when I'm back. So, but usually it's planned quite well. It's very rare that I'm away for more than a few days. It's just now.
So you do have to be organized.
Yes, I'm very organized. I can tell you what I will do next August.
No kidding.
No kidding.
Wow.
I'm very structured.
That sounds a little bit Germanic.
Yeah, but I'm German.
Yeah, so appropriate. All right. So, well, with that, what is your morning routine like? What do you do in the morning?
So usually I start kind of 8 with the horses. I don't know exactly.
Is that
Depends.
when you get up?
No, that's when I am.
Okay. So what do you do before that? You get up at?
I get up, have my coffee already while I'm in the
5
bathroom, more or
6
less. No, I'm lazy.
So you like to sleep in?
I like to sleep in, so I think I wake up at kind of 7 or something. Because I in the beginning I thought, okay, if I start my praxis at 6 o'clock or something, I'm home at 4 or whatever.
But it doesn't work.
It doesn't work. So I just work until evening. So, and you have a lot of clients who are working, like they have jobs. So it's very difficult to finish working early if you have to wait for them. So that's why it doesn't work. So I start more or less. I wake up at 7, having my morning coffee. I have a dog, so I go for a walk with my dog. She always comes with me, but she's protecting my shoeing truck, so she's not walking around. So I have to offer her a little walk in the morning. Well, and then I just leave. So I need maybe half an hour.
Do you not eat breakfast?
No, I have a coffee.
Oh.
And then I have a second coffee in my car. And then maybe I take some bread with me. So maybe between 12 and 2, I have a little bread, and then I continue.
All right.
And usually I try to have my hoof clients until early afternoon, like maybe everything where you have to shoe or to glue or to cast or whatever you do at the hoofs. And then in the early afternoon, I start usually treating them like manual therapy or training, so that you have a little mixture.
And then do you also ride?
I sit on horses, let's say it like this. No, we have horses by our own. My sister has 2 little ponies for driving, and I at least have my little Icelandic mare to ride on. She's not like Herz horses, but...
So we've had an experience here riding.
Yeah, both.
I got on what he calls his little stud, which is just the kind of the boss mare, and she went away with me. We went to the road, and we came back, but it didn't matter what I did, how I pulled, how I kicked, where I put my feet. She was just going, and we didn't get to ride together. But then you had a similar experience today.
Yeah, I just tried to get on the horse. I was sitting on the horse actually, but in the moment where my butt had contact with the saddle, she just turned around and went away to her mates on the pasture. So I could do whatever I want. I was pulling like hell, and she just left and me on top. So in one moment, I just decided to jump off, and we were looking at each other like, "What the hell are you doing here?" So this must be. I think it's just for entertainment of Gert.
I think Ert
Yeah,
might have
yeah.
just set us up just so that he can tell the story about those foreigners
Yeah, I
on
think
the
so.
Icelandic horses.
Yeah, I think he was sitting on the horse and just laughing. I could not hear anything. Yeah, he has not said anything. I
No.
just disappeared, no comment or something. I just went away, and I think he just was laughing.
Yeah, I should tell everybody that we are doing this in front of a home audience. They're sitting over there trying to be quiet.
Yeah, maybe the neighbors were watching us. I'm not sure about it.
Yeah, these
Yeah.
Icelandic ponies are interesting. Is yours like that?
It's pretty similar from size and the body, because some breeders in Germany try to make them bigger and bigger, and mine is pretty much the same from the body conformation like these are. But she's fast, but she's a little bit calmer. So, but maybe she's also my horse. We know each other, so maybe that's a difference.
But is it the same thing? Like, so on a Western horse, we would never ride
Well,
in the mouth like
I
that.
can do both. So if you really want to control her also a little bit with the gaits, then you need contact with the reins, definitely. In particular, the tilt is very, you have to have a good contact and a good also sit on the horse that you can make them trot or tilt or pace. Mine is also doing the pace. So this is very special, but if you relax, then I just throw the reins away and she will not run away. So that's maybe the difference to here.
And you get to ride very often at home?
No. I have it for fun. So I think I ride if it's a really relaxed week, I can maybe ride 1 or 2 times a week. But sometimes she's off for 2 or 3 weeks, and then I can sit on her again. But she don't care. They're in an open stable, so they live behind the house. So we have horses since 28 years or something. So they just live with us. If we use them, we use them. If not, they are behind the house, and nobody cares.
That's fine then too.
Yeah.
Okay, pasture ornaments we call them.
Yeah, like this.
Okay.
Then they are really decorative behind the house. It's really nice.
Now, do you still work with the Horseshoeing school very often?
No, because the public schools don't pay external staff, so they have their own teachers and vets and whatever. So, but I teach for 3 private schools in Germany.
Oh, okay. So you travel to the private school
Yes.
and do...
We have a very big private school. It's owned by Christoph Schweppe. He's also, I think, 4 times now German champion and also competing in the European Championship. And he's quite good farrier, and he owns the biggest one, I would say. They have always kind of 30, 35 students a year.
Wow, that's
Quite a
pretty
bit.
big.
Yeah.
And what's it like shoeing with a horseshoeing school in Germany? Because in the U.S., you get to see a lot of interesting stuff.
Well, it really depends on the school. So usually most of the schools collaborate with also horse clinics, so that you have different cases as well for the students. But you also need, like, let's say, routine clients where you can go out. But it's really, some of the horseshoeing schools don't have many clients, so often the practical part can be a little bit too less. But the schools I work for, they have, as I said, normal clients. Christoph Schweppe has a lot of high-level sport horses as well, so they have a wide range of horses. And usually we make it like this. You go out with them in a big shoeing truck, like you probably do, and then you are with them in the field and you try to monitor their steps and you make a shoeing plan or trimming plan. And then you have to make also the theory. So we have also theory classes.
Yes. Well, in the U.S., most of our students are doing at least a horse a day, but sometimes there's days where they got to do 2 or 3. But there's schools where they only do dead feet for like the first 2 months.
No, this is definitely not. I mean, as I said, sometimes you have smaller horseshoeing schools, but I don't work for them that much, so I don't know it exactly. But in Leipzig, for example, we had at least, so we were going out and we had also horses coming into the horseshoeing school. So at least I would say we had, depending if you went out, sometimes you could have, 10 horses for your 3 or 4 students, and sometimes they were also coming, some of them in. Sometimes you share the group, like 2 are foraging inside, 2 are coming with you outside, and then it can be everything. But usually there should be at least 1 horse a day for them.
Are there a lot of drafts in Germany?
It is increasing again. So when they were not used for working anymore, it was dropping dramatically. But now there are more people getting big, the more big horses they need. Let's say it polite. So we have a lot of private people who use them for riding, but often they are not very well trained and educated, the horses, so it's difficult work.
And what about mules? Are there very many mules?
Well, we don't have a lot of. We have some, and we have in south of Germany the military section. They are, I don't know how to call this in English, but they are responsible for all this bringing stuff and going in the mountains. So they fly the mules to Afghanistan or wherever they need them. So they have to train and care for the mules. And in this section, they have their own farriers, and these farriers are always sent to Leipzig to the horseshoeing school. So we had a good collaboration with the mule section of the military. So that's how I know a few mules. But in my area, we don't have them.
And what is your favorite kind of horseshoeing? Do you prefer orthopedic work, or do you prefer just regular sound horses?
No, because of my business, I would say, 80% with orthopedic work. Of course, a few of them healed, and they are nice clients and nice horses, so you keep them. But I like to make actually the orthopedic work. So I definitely am not good in athletic horses because I have too less access and too less experience with dressage or western or whatever you can ride. I have a few jumpers in my clients, but I'm an orthopedic farrier, definitely.
So you're good at getting them back to
yes.
being a jumper.
And usually if they are really back to competing or back to use, I often give them back to the former farrier. Except they're really nice and they don't want to go, or they have chronic diseases.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
But I often still meet them for treatment or for training. So, yeah.
And so where do you see horseshoeing going in the next decade? Do you think it's going to stay the same?
Yeah, it's a quite good question. I think the materials, so the variety, the different materials.
Variety.
I can't tell. I can't speak it.
That's the problem with having so many languages. You got so many choice words, right?
Yeah. Some words are a bit difficult for me, but well, if you have so many different materials available, what is good and bad in the same moment, because sometimes you have this is, I think, a little bit modern trend, and I think it will increase as well, that social media and all this imaging and whatever increases, and people think, okay, 3D pads at the moment are so popular because they solve everything and they look fancy. Yeah. So people, in particular the clients, are often very stupid, and they think, okay, if this is on social media, my horse should have it. And I think this will cause more and more trouble for the vets and farriers to explain why they don't do things or why they use things. And often they have the pressure from social media to also use, for example, 3D pads because it's fancy at the moment. And I think this is a challenging thing for young farriers.
And you think it's going to get worse?
Yeah, I think so.
And what do you see getting better? Or do you think that there's things that are going to get better?
I think the knowledge gets better. So one thing before we go to the better things, but I think we have a saying that in the past we had a lot of horse people, and now we have a lot of people with horses.
Yes.
And this is also causing a lot of trouble for our profession, I think. But what is getting better and better is, I think, the education of farriers, if they want to, of course. I mean, you always have to be willing to learn, but you have so many offers like online or courses or conferences or whatever. So I think the sharing of knowledge is much easier and faster in these times.
So you really got to learn without the internet as well. And now with YouTube or podcasts or the sheer amount of exposure, a person can get quite good quite fast compared to what it was when I started.
Yes, that's right. I mean, in the past, I think, for example, my teacher, my teaching farrier, he went to conferences a lot. So he was always traveling there. I mean, you can still do it. There are so many offers, it worldwide actually, to go to a conference or a course or meeting. But if you can't, or if you don't have the money, you just look at the online modules. So I think both options are available, and I think both options has pro and contras.
Yeah, you can watch somebody weld a bar shoe while you're sitting there in your underwear.
Yeah.
And you can put it in slow motion and watch it again and again, which we couldn't, or I learned how to shoe horses in 87, a few years after you were born. And so, you just couldn't do that then.
That's what I meant. So this becomes much faster and I think easier to learn. But still, I like that you have the options to meet each other in person, because the exchange is still very important, I think.
Well, I know a lot of people that had jobs that were not dangerous. Let's say if you were teaching music, you lost your job when the internet did what it did. Because if somebody plays a guitar poorly, it just hurts somebody's ears, but not that bad. But if somebody shoes a horse poorly, this is one of those jobs you really need to be exposed to somebody that has some hands-on skill that can help you with.
I think so too. I mean, the problem is you have to recognize that you make bad work. And this self-critical part is sometimes missing, in particular if you don't go out of your little own bubble. So if you always stay with your same routine, you will not develop, but you also don't recognize that you make a shit work.
And your customers think you're wonderful.
Yeah.
If the shoes stay on and the horses stay sound,
Yes.
you're the best
There's also
farrier that
saying,
ever lived.
maybe I can try it. Some horses walk because of the shoeings, and some other horses walk although they are shot. So that's also something.
They're such a forgiving creature.
Yeah, they can compensate a lot.
Yeah, I interviewed Robert McLaren, and he probably gave me my favorite inspirational saying. He said, "There's three things we don't deserve: the love of Jesus Christ, the willingness of a horse, and the devotion of a dog."
Yeah, that's
And,
right.
But
That's nice.
the willingness of a horse and the ability to absolutely walk with some terrible shoeing is pretty incredible.
But it's not just the shoeing. I mean, sometimes I meet horses where you see the shoes are not fitting very well, but also the saddle fit is poor, they have back pain, and the rider on top is skew. And then these are my typical clients, actually. Yeah, so then you have actually to check all, like we did in the workshop we made in the stable here in Iceland. So, but then you have to make good protocol to assess all the issues of the horse, to rank it, and to give the owner a kind of solution strategy to improve the life of the horse and to make it better for the performance, right?
Absolutely. Well, do you have any stories you want to tell? You got any anything you'd like to say that we haven't talked about?
Well, I think there are many stories to tell, but I think for the moment we are good. Otherwise, we sit here until it's dark.
But we are in Iceland in August, so it does get dark for quite a
Oh,
while.
okay.
Yeah, this is my
No.
Icelandic studio.
Well, that's right. But I think we are good for the moment.
All right. Do you have any inspirational sayings?
Yeah, I would say you can learn something from everybody. So even if you think you wouldn't make it in the same way, but everybody deserves it, and everybody who is showing something deserves that you watch at it. And I like the Dunning-Kruger effect, you know it?
I do. Where
Yeah.
the more you know, well, when you don't know a little, you think you know a lot because yes.
Yeah, and then you're on Mount Stupid.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So, and I think we all should visualize this graph. So if you don't know it, Google Dunning-Kruger effect and you know where you are.
Yeah.
So I would say
and it's a very true thing.
yeah,
it's-
I would say I'm somewhere on going from the valley a little bit up again.
I always tell people there's like an 80-20 principle. In the beginning, you spend 20% of your effort to learn 80% of the stuff. But then you have to spend 80% of your effort to get that last 20%.
But I must say, the more you know and the more you educate yourself, the more see if somebody would like to teach you something.
Right.
So in the beginning, I was standing next to somebody and saw he's shoeing a horse and putting a shoe on a horse. And now you see all the little details, how he shapes, how he's modifying, how he clinches, whatever. So
Yeah, how he fit that heel
Yes.
just exactly
yeah,
around
and this
that
is
quarter.
something, as I said, the more you know and the more you see, the more you know where to look at.
Well, I've always enjoyed your lectures. You combine the science with the knowledge, and you make it accessible. And so I hope you continue to keep up the good work. And I thank you so much for your time.
I thank you for having me here.
All right. Well, that's a wrap. Good job.
Thank you.